Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's do another travel video this time. I'll tell you more about Africa. I've been to Africa twice. I already talked about my second time to Africa, which was to Egypt. I spent quite a while in Egypt. I went to other countries in the Middle East, but the only country in Africa I was in that journey was Egypt. And I want to talk to you about the first time I was there. I went on safari. I went to safari in Kenya and Tanzania, neighboring countries, for about 6 weeks. It was a private tour group kind of deal. I had guides, 2 guides, husband and wife, a team. They were the guides, and they brought with them, they had a team of people with them to assist in setting up the tents, because we slept in tents. The team was like 12 Zulu dudes, Zulu warrior motherfuckers. And these guys were great. I got along with them great. But it was very luxurious. The tents were the size of your apartment. We had a dining room tent. We were eating lobster and all kinds of, steaks and all kinds of shit every fucking meal. I don't travel cheap. I don't do no cheap little bullshit ass vacations. I don't understand that crap. I watch some of these YouTube videos about travel stuff because I'm interested in that kind of stuff. And these guys stay at these flop house little, what the hell, what do you waste your time in that shit for? For the cultural experience? Fuck that. 5-star, motherfucker, 5-star. You're never gonna go back. You do these vacations once, spend the money. It's about the experience. The money doesn't matter. When I went to Egypt, what did we spend? 15 grand? That's a fucking vacation. I could have went out and bought a Honda Civic. Instead I fucking went on vacation for 6 weeks. This Africa trip was to safari was similar deal, very pricey. We flew into Kenya, into Nairobi, which is the main city. Nairobi is a big urban city, looks very similar. As we drove from the airport to the hotel, stayed in a 5-star hotel, beautiful hotel, I forget the name, but it was an old hotel, big giant white building, whole compound, it was just beautiful. But Nairobi just kind of felt like a regular city. Suburbs, regular neighborhoods like you might see anywhere else. Big downtown urban section with high-rise buildings. Kids driving around and bullshit ass fucking Nissans thumping music, rap music and shit. I mean, it's same as anywhere, right? But they have a lot of culture there because it's Africa, and a lot of the different cultures in Africa come together in Nairobi because it's a huge, huge, huge city, like New York City or something. Imagine it like that. I bummed around in Nairobi or I should say we bummed around in Nairobi for about 5 days until we met our guides. So say if we got there on a Monday, we're going to meet our guides that following weekend, which gave us some time to go to some art galleries. And I only have the camera face this angle, but I got this type of masks and this type of crap all over my whole goddamn house. So bought some of that stuff there. I was in a shopping mall in Nairobi, just looking around. It was empty, dead, had 3 stories. All the way up at the top, on the 3rd story, I saw this dude in a tracksuit, just lurking, hanging out, about my age. So I approached him and I was just like, "What's up? What you got?" He spoke English. A lot of people there speak English. He looks around, there's nobody up there, he looks around. He pulls out a bag, a little sandwich bag. So I'm just like, I don't care if I'm in Kenya or in LA. I know a drug dealer when I see a drug dealer. You don't have to tell me. I know who's selling dope. I'm not stupid. He pulls out this sandwich bag, unrolls it, gives it to me. I look at it, and it's a bone. A fucking bone of ivory. I hand it back to him. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm trying to get high, motherfucker. I want some weed. I want some bone. What am I supposed to do with that? Put it through my nose? What am I supposed to do with a fucking bone? How do you sell bones? And he's like, ivory's worth a lot of money. Not to me. He was annoyed with me instantly, and I was annoyed with him back. Because I wasn't buying what he was selling, but he wasn't selling what I wanted. Motherfucker. He took the escalators back down to leave the building. I went behind him. I sat there for 2 escalator rides, because we're on the 3rd floor, bitching at him, scolding him, telling him, what you're doing is wrong. You need to start selling drugs, motherfucker. You're selling ivory, that's wrong. You're involved in a fucking poaching trade, and poaching is wrong. This is fucked up what you're doing. You need to start selling dope. And I gave him a lecture on becoming a dope dealer, and the whole time he's just looking at me just like, shut up. Right before we left Nairobi to go to Tanzania, because that's where the cool game parks are, is in Tanzania. Fuck Kenya and their game parks in Kenya. They have them in Kenya. They got game parks in Kenya. If you're going to Africa on safari, don't waste your time with the game parks in Kenya. You could go to the zoo in your town that you live in, and it's the same goddamn thing. The Kenya game parks are just zoos. They're caged in. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Tanzania is where it's at. That's where the wild animals are. That's the Africa experience. And right before we left, we go through this shanty town. On the backside, on the other side of Nairobi, is a shanty town, and you don't go through there unless you're driving. And we're driving, and we drove through it. It takes a few hours, I think, to get through it. It goes on and on and on and on. And if you've never been to a real shanty town, it's one thing to see them on TV. If you've never actually been to a third world shanty town, it's a level of poverty that will shock you. It's a kind of existence that we don't have here. I've lived in the worst neighborhoods in America. People want to talk about their hood that they've lived in. I've lived in some of the worst fucking neighborhoods where cops are scared to go. It's nothing like what I've seen on the other side of Nairobi. We finally get to the border of Tanzania, and we pick a border crossing out in the middle of nowhere for some reason. I don't know how many they are. Maybe they're all that way. Anybody experienced that area can tell me. But we go to one where it's just this little building, tan building, out in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of the bush, nothing, just by the side of the road. There's a little village, like 300-400 yards up the road on the Tanzania side. Like dudes wear it with spears and loincloths. They didn't look friendly. They weren't like, welcome, you know. They kind of had this look like, we will steal your soul and kill you, you know. We're all going to be hanging from fucking, like in the movies, hanging from a log as they carry us to their leader. The 2 guides, and we're in a Range Rover. Frank spoke fluent Swahili, especially the curse words. He could curse in Swahili like any African. And he was a British guy from England. Oxford trained, educated, real fascinating fucking guy. He goes into the building and has a loud conversation with that guy. There's a big fat motherfucker who's running the office. Big fat guy. And Frank comes back out and he tells us, okay, because we're sitting in the Range Rover, and he tells us, okay, here's the deal. We have 2 options to get into the country. One is a drag, which means we can fill out some paperwork. We'll have to wait 2 days, which means we'll probably just have to drive back to Nairobi and come back in 2 days when the paperwork is stamped and whatever, and then we'll most likely be able to get in. Never had a problem before. That's the legal way. That's how you get into Tanzania. Or we could pay the guy in cash and he'll just let us in, bribe him. Just under the table cash deal. It's completely illegal, it's corrupt, obviously. But those are the 2 options. So I pull out my wallet, I'm from the streets, motherfucker. I was like, how much do we need? I gave him like $50. The guy, I was gonna give him more. I had plenty of cash on me, and he was just like, no dude, $50 in Tanzania money, oh my God, that's a lot of money around here. He gives the guy $50. That big fat motherfucker had a big grin. He's got gold chains and rings and bracelets. He's robbing everybody coming through. We drive right in. They don't check us. They don't search us. We don't show passports. Nothing. I think they stamped our passports. But We could have had a car full of AK-47s and bombs. They don't care, man. We fucking get into Tanzania, go to the very expensive hotel at the rim of the Ingorno Crater. The Ingorno Crater in Tanzania is an actual crater, like you would see on the moon. But it's not barren, it's lush and full of animals. And they're somewhat trapped in there because of the crater. They can technically walk up the fucking hill and go out, but they don't have much reason to. And it's a rather fascinating place. When I was there, it wasn't as popular as it is now. Now the Ingorno Crater is out of control, popular, trafficky. It's still worth going to, but when I went, I was lucky. We kind of felt like we had the place to ourselves. We camped out in the crater. We stayed for one night in the hotel, which is beautiful, and then camped out in the crater. We camped out in the crater for about a week, maybe a little longer. Saw elephants and lions and all that kind of stuff, and it was great. You follow them around in the Jeep, and they eat things and kill stuff, and I mean, it's great. The hippos are the most dangerous motherfuckers around. You think it's the lions or the hyenas? Hippos. The hippos. I'm not going to go through every little animal experience. We had some fun ones. One of the interesting things about the Ingorno Crater is they have this, I don't know if it's a lake or just a small body of water. It's not that small, but it has thousands of flamingos, pink flamingos, that hang out there certain times a year. And when we were there, the flamingos were there. Thousands of fucking flamingos. It's crazy. I've never seen one flamingo other than when you go to Disney. There's thousands of them. And there was this one lonely Jeep that was just sitting there. And this guy, we drove up to him in our Range Rover and talked to him. He was a British guy, photographer. He had a big fucking lens mounted off the side of his Jeep. And we were like, what's going on? You filming these flamingos? And he said, no, I'm filming a hyena. And way off in the distance, there was a hyena that was trying to chase down any one of the flamingos it could get. The flamingos would scatter every time it got too close. And he's like, I've been out here for 5 hours watching this fucking hyena. He hasn't given up. He must be hungry. That's one starving hyena. Usually an animal would give up after a while. Not this motherfucker. He was just gonna chase those things around until he died. Who knows? Hopefully that hyena got one. We drove off. The next game park we went to in Tanzania was I believe it was called the Tarangire, with a T, Tarangire game park. And they're not enclosed like in Kenya. You're just out in the bush. And that one we stayed in for a few weeks, camping out. We were chased by elephants. That sucks. It wasn't funny. And Frank, the guide, he's driving the Range Rover, and we get right up on the elephants, and the elephants blow their trunk. They put their fucking ears up, and then they'll stomp towards you to tell you to get back. And this thing's way bigger than you, man. They're huge. When you see one in person and you're just sitting in a Jeep, it's gigantic. One fucking foot will stomp you to fucking nothing. So he antagonizes this group of elephants, this herd of elephants, to chase us. They're pissed at us. They want to kill us. Elephants hate humans. They hate you. They are aggressive. Luckily, they're not predators. They're not going to like eat you, but they will kill you. They hate you. They are not friendly. And these things chase us. We're driving along, and they get closer and closer, and he's just laughing, and we get a little distance between us, and then he stops and lets them get up to us, and then he drives off. We did this like 3 times. I finally was just like, dude, please, you give me a heart attack. He did that again to us with a rhino. And we got this rhino almost got us, and he jumps out of the way and honks his horn. And the rhino stood there for a minute real close to us, like, should I kill these guys? And luckily he walked off, he prances off. And I'm just like, dude, you were really trying to get us hurt. But he's just having fun. To him it was great fun. On the way back home from this whole journey, we stopped back off in Nairobi, fly out of Nairobi back, so we reversed the whole journey. We're back in Nairobi. I'm in Nairobi my second time. I bought at the hotel gift shop, which was amazing, a giant wooden tusk. Wooden. It's a wooden tusk, elephant tusk, made out of wood, driftwood or something that someone carved up, ornately carved up. Really amazing. And I bought it as a, something to put up on the wall, whatever, And I had to carry this thing through the airport back home. And once I got out of Africa, nobody cared about the tusk. But when we were in the airport in Nairobi, and I'm walking through and it was wrapped up in newspaper, and I have this giant tusk, and I'm this great white hunter with a tusk, and that's illegal, it's poaching, it's totally illegal, you can't be walking around with a tusk, dude. Military people stopped me, machine gun military people stopped me. I was stopped by everyone. I pulled a little piece of it back, and they're sitting there looking at it, and they're ready to take me away, put me on TV, we got a poacher. But I made it home fine. I know the video went a little bit long. If anybody's still watching, thanks for watching.